This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Evacuees returning. Some residents displaced by the Long Lake wildfire can go home Wednesday.
Cancelled classes. Dal students are left in limbo as the lockout of faculty members continues.
And looking for alternatives. Could a non-corporate grocery chain work across Canada?
The summer-like warmth continues as we move through the next couple of days with lots of sunshine on tap. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. A glimmer of hope tonight for those who have been displaced by the Long Lake wildfire in Annapolis County. Some evacuees are now allowed to return home.
Those who live around Trout Lake and Highway 10 can return Wednesday morning. DNR and the municipality of the County of Annapolis say there will be a staggered re-entry. Meanwhile, DNR said crews made good ground over the long weekend. Dozer guard and lines pumps are now complete along the northern end of the fire.
The south end of the fire is the most active and facing drying conditions this week. The fire is still out of control at just under 8,500 hectares. Meanwhile, dozens of young fire evacuees in Annapolis County are heading back to class this week, and schools are preparing to meet them with extra supplies, counselors, and compassion. The CBC's Julia Wong with the toll that experts say these wildfires can take on kids.
With the Long Lake wildfire still burning out of control in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley, back to school is not going to be the same for Jonathan Gillis's 3 children.
Routines are totally different.
Close to 3 weeks ago, the family fled their home. Gillis's kids are among roughly 30 students still under the evacuation order, and school starts Thursday.
I'd say anxious would be the word I'd use. They're more, my kids anyway, worried about their friends. They have friends they go to school with who are people that lost their home.
The school division says it's supporting kids by adjusting bus routes so students can still go to their regular school. It will also make sure kids have backpacks and school supplies and have counselors available. Being displaced can be stressful, says this psychologist.
It takes you out of the security and routine that a home can provide. This will be very difficult and discombobulating.
He says anxiety, depression, and trauma could creep in, and parents should be proactive.
One good strategy would be to implement regular routines and schedules as soon as possible.
We're going to have games and washer toss and probably a barbecue.
The county has hosted events for young evacuees to give them some normalcy.
Bad enough going from summer to school, we have a different routine again, but now to do a different routine from wherever you're at, whether it's a camper or hotel or friends and family, it's not the same. So we're hoping to just bring some positivity.
Julia Wong, CBC News, Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia.
Students at Dalhousie University in Halifax are also beginning the school year with a sense of uncertainty. Most classes scheduled today have been canceled. Members of the Dalhousie Faculty Association have been off the job for weeks after being locked out and then going on strike after the two sides were not able to reach an agreement on a new contract. Brett Ruskin has more.
Picket lines are once again set up here at Dalhousie University in Halifax with, again, full-time professors, librarians and other staff who are off the job as a result of a lockout and strike by their union. This began a couple of weeks ago, but this really is the first day that students for the fall term are seeing an impact because the fall term is supposed to start today, but many of the classes here on campus are not running. But for the most part, students are unhappy with the situation that they find themselves in with the fall term now underway.
I'm just moving to Dal, just trying to figure it out, trying to find my classes, and it's hard because it's like we don't know what's going on.
We're spending a lot of money and tuition isn't even getting fully covered yet. We still have to pay on time, yet we're not expected to go to class yet. I just want it resolved.
I've been unable to contact them, so I think maybe that's also another impact, yeah. I've been unable to contact my supervisors.
There was a glimmer of hope last week when the administration offered to send this dispute to arbitration, to have a third party come in, look at both sides, create a deal that could be good for both sides, possibly. That would have ended the lockout, ended the strike as well. But the union rejected that proposal, saying that the arbitration would have only covered wages, and they're talking about far more than that. Parental leave, flexibility with schedules, more advancement opportunities for professors. And so we're essentially at an impasse. No updates as of yet today from the union or from the administration. So professors remain on picket lines and students remain out of the classroom. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, from wildfires to wells going dry, farmers' crops struggling, this summer's lack of rainfall was a huge story. Now, while it was drier than normal everywhere, for northwestern areas of Nova Scotia and southern New Brunswick, this summer was certainly one of the driest on record, with total rainfall near half or even less than half of average. Now, in this area, including along the Bay of Fundy, the Annapolis Valley, Cobequid Bay, Hants County, Cumberland County, and down towards Kedgie Park and northern Yarmouth County, summer rainfall here was less than 125 millimeters. Now, conditions were most extreme for Digby County, northern Annapolis County, and towards Grand Manan, where less than 100 millimeters of rain fell this summer. For some official Environment Canada stations, including St. John, Fundy Park, Grand Manan, and Genjamgujuk Park, this was indeed the driest summer on record. Notably, records go all the way back to 1870 in St. John. For other locations, including Greenwood and Yarmouth and even the Halifax Airport, while not quite record-breaking, this summer certainly lands right near the top of the driest list. We'll need a big pattern change and days of rainfall to make up for the summer drought. Now, there are a few showers in the latest 7-day forecast, which we'll have coming up in a couple of minutes. Tom and Amy.
Yeah, certainly tell the story there, don't they? Thanks so much,
Hope on the
Ryan.
horizon. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, people dealing with chronic pain in Cumberland County are raising concerns about the uncertainty of a clinic in the area. They fear the clinic will close, but as CBC's Luke Ettinger tells us, the health authority says it won't.
Patients are questioning the future of the pain clinic at the Cumberland Regional Healthcare Centre. Multiple patients who spoke to CBC News have not had appointments booked past September 19th, and when they asked why,
nothing. They're not able to say or willing to say anything is happening.
Every 3 weeks, Scott McKee receives lidocaine infusion therapy for chronic pain, allowing him to continue operating his Southampton service station. The treatments help restore mobility and independence, including for neighbor Chris Gallagher.
It's not that you wake up tomorrow morning in a wheelchair, but you start at a gradual downhill slide. And how far downhill you go, I don't know. I haven't been there yet, and I hope not to, but on the other shutdowns, it certainly curtailed me from where I am now.
There have been interruptions at the clinic before, most recently in May 2024. Now, independent MLA Elizabeth Smith-McCrossan alleges doctors have concerns about patient safety in light of plans to move parts of the clinic within the hospital. A spokesperson said Nova Scotia Health is committed to working with physicians at the pain clinic to ensure ongoing care for patients. Conversations are ongoing with physicians with the goal of continuing to provide services, and these discussions are focused on ensuring continuity of care. Some patients worry there will be ripple effects if they're no longer able to get treatment for their chronic pain.
We're scared. You don't know how many people I know that will not be working by the end of this year. The welfare system's breaking now. We'll just wait. You just wait, because all of us at our age groups aren't ready for our seniors' pension yet. We have no adequate housing, of course. There's such a housing shortage. What are we going to do? Where are they going to put us? Where are we going to go? Because we're not going to be able to support ourselves.
Anne Gilroy has been a patient for a decade, and the infusions have allowed her to return to work. In an effort to keep their care, the patients are petitioning the provincial government with plans to protest if care stops in September. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Cumberland County.
MLAs on the legislature's Community Services Committee heard today that there needs to be more emergency support for women with children experiencing gender-based violence. The executive director of the Elizabeth Fry Society says that when one of her colleagues was shot in her home by her partner, the first call she received was from Child Protection Services.
Women are so afraid of reporting because they will inevitably come to the attention of Child Protective Services and are at risk of losing their children. And this comes about because that is considered a risk factor, that you do live in a home where you are experiencing violence. That is a risk factor to have your children removed.
Halpern says they were able to keep the family together because Elizabeth Fry had a vacant unit, but she says there needs to be more emergency support in place for situations when shelters that take families are full.
Nova Scotia Power says it wants to raise rates in 2026 and 2027. The utility residential customers, the rates would go up around 4% a year. The utility says it will apply to the Energy Board later this month. If approved, the rate hikes would take effect on January the 1st for the next 2 years. Nova Scotia Power says the rate hikes would help pay for $1.3 billion worth of work on the electricity grid. In a statement this afternoon, Premier Tim Houston says he feels betrayed and called the utility, quote, out of touch for asking Nova Scotians to pay more after the largest data breaches in our province's history.
Well, as Canadians continue to feel the pinch at the grocery store, some may be wondering if there's an alternative to big grocery.
Parts of Canada do have a chain of cooperatives, but many communities are stuck with the grocery giants. The CBC's Francis Willock asks, can a chain of non-corporate grocery stores work across Canada?
The majority of Canadians buy their food from 5 corporate for-profit grocery giants. But is another world possible, one where grocery stores based on alternative business models can exist and grow across Canada?
There aren't many shopping alternatives to Loblaw, Sobeys, Metro, Costco, and Walmart. And some of those alternatives actually fall under a family of brands owned by those same parent companies. And in recent years, consumers have had reasons to look elsewhere. The cost of food has jumped for Canadians, who are now paying about 27% more than they did in July 2020. Consumers have also raised concerns about price discrimination, labeling, weighing practices, anti-competitive conduct, and security measures.
A great location, or maybe specializing in a certain type of product, can help a single bricks and mortar store find success. But is it possible for a co-op or a nonprofit to work on a broader scale?
Yes. Is it an easy thing to do? Not at all. It becomes a profoundly difficult thing to scale that infrastructure in a way that allows you to scale growth in the retail sector.
Mike Von Masso says corporate grocers are like icebergs. The stores are at the tip, but what you can't see is what can make or break a business. The sourcing of products, buying them, and distributing them cost-effectively in a country as huge as Canada.
Some co-ops and nonprofits do have regional success, like Arctic cooperatives in the north and federated co-ops in the west. And of course, there are lots of single stores or small clusters of stores that have been happily trucking along for years. But not all communities have those options.
The Kootenay Co-op in Nelson, BC uses a membership model. At this grocery cooperative, the profits are recirculated into the business, and any profits beyond that are redistributed to the 18,000 members through credits.
In a way, it's as if the grocery store is saying to its customers, hey, we looked at our financials at the end of the year, and it appears we charged you a little too much, and we'd like to apologize and return some of those profits back to you.
Steinman says recent boycotts of grocery stores and products mean the time could be ripe for change.
I think this might be an opportunity for Canadians to say, okay, we want to have more power in our grocery shopping experience. Does it have to stop at what we choose to buy?
The Granary Food Co-op in Halifax is a non-profit and run entirely by volunteers. It's not without its logistical challenges, but it's been around for 25 years. Spencer Osberg says that kind of longevity is telling.
The fact that we've been here for 25 years, against all odds, I think is a proof in the pudding that it is possible, and that an expansion of this model across Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada would benefit everyone and provide that alternative that everyone now is looking for to the corporate-controlled grocery system.
Frances Willick, CBC News, Halifax.
A beautiful night out there over Halifax Harbour.
Night for sure.
Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast. We'll see you after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
Your full weather forecast now. Ryan back with us on what has been another summery day here in Nova Scotia.
And the temperatures really have rebounded from last week.
Yeah, last week it really felt like fall was settling in. Now it's like, okay, summer's pushing back a little bit. And of course, I've got the fall hat on because meteorological fall, of course, begins September 1st. We're going to talk about those numbers from the summer earlier. That's where stats are kept. June, July, August. That's kind of our summer stats numbers. And we certainly hope for a big pattern change for September. Nice to have some warm weather. Nice to have some wet weather. Have a look at our webcam video from this evening. And yes, beautiful evening there in Lower Truro. the Fundy Discovery site. Terrific, in fact. Just beautiful, beautiful day, beautiful evening. And we'll take this. Special air quality statement continues as a reminder of what's going on still in Annapolis County with that special air quality warning. As we look at the temperatures out there today, you can see, highs were high 20s and even some low 30s back towards northern or central and northern parts of New Brunswick, even Moncton at 28 degrees. Temperatures out there right now across Nova Scotia, anywhere from 20 to 25, 26, even 27 at this hour in Truro and Kentville and Parsboro. Temps into the high teens, low 20s across Cape Breton. The winds have been relatively light today, just a nice southerly breeze. Looking at the cloud cover, a little bit into the mix today. Another system passing to the south. This has been the train has been missing our station as it passes to the south. And you can see one low after another, all the way down towards the U.S. Florida region and down towards the Gulf, and we're just missing these. And we've got a couple of lows gaining steam to our northwest, and we'll hope to tap into some of those. Behind that, you can see the fall air really pushing in. 5 in Iqaluit, 8 in Churchill. These are afternoon temperatures. Hello, fall, as feeling very fallish there. Remember last week, if you were with us, temperatures were into the high 20s and even low 30s in through the prairies. Back down, feeling more fall there. Certainly this week. Now, as we look at the forecast for tonight, temperatures are going to be anywhere from 10 to 13 degrees with those light winds on tap. Looking at the hour by hour, it's going to be quiet tonight. We'll see some fog patches setting up. Tomorrow, very similar to today. Fog patches burning off, mixing out. Sun and cloud into the afternoon, and those temperatures are going to be lovely. We'll be into the low 20s across Cape Breton, low 20s along the eastern shore, but into the mid-20s along the north shore for tomorrow. And I do have 25, 26 degrees, but I wouldn't be surprised again to see some 27s, even some 28s on the board here and through northern parts of the province. Back into the valley, temperatures into the mid-20s. Similar story, Bridgewater back through Keji, and a bit of an onshore flow as per almost always in this type of time of year. Tri-County, a little cooler along parts of the coast. So there goes another weather maker we're missing off to the east. High pressure in place. So Thursday is again very, very quiet. Temperatures once again 22, 26, and we'll call that low to mid 20s. That's going to be the name of the game. There goes that high pressure area moving off. And this is that next system that we're going to be watching. We're going to be hoping, fingers, toes, all those things crossed as we work our way into the weekend, that this will be able to bring in some wet weather. We'll have some showers from it certainly, but it is going to be kind of near the center of the low that we'll have the better chance of seeing some sustained showers, we hope, for Saturday, or for Sunday rather. Saturday, we're going to see increasing clouds. Looks like we'll stay dry as the wet weather runs through New Brunswick. Showers on tap for Sunday and into Monday. Tropical outlook. It's been quiet so far, hasn't it? But I mean, we're really only just into like the heart of the season, kind of nearing our peak of the season, in fact, which is early September. And the National Hurricane Center keeping an eye on this cluster of storms here, which they're giving a 70% chance of development here over the next 7 days. If this does develop, it would be Gabrielle. And again, way offshore, no threat at all at this point. But just a little reminder that we are still lots of time to go between now and the end of tropical season, Tom and Amy.
Yeah, 'tis the season for sure. Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ryan. A mother in New Brunswick is still waiting for the coroner and police reports about 2 months after her son was fatally injured at a horse racing track.
She says she wants to see the safety review that persuaded officials to resume races. But as Rachel Cave shows us, it hasn't been forthcoming.
I love being their mom, and that's pretty much what I center myself around, is being their mom and loving on them.
Cora Fraser grieves for her son, who died in her arms in hospital. Gunnar Dickinson was days away from turning 4. A curious and happy kid, he'd gone to the races for the first time.
It's the second race.
Fraser was not at the track. The kids had gone with other family. But she has watched the broadcast over and over. Gunnar was at the fence.
We need an ambulance. Call an ambulance, please, to the grandstand.
Police said Gunnar was struck by the gate. Fraser raced to town and was just in time to hold him at the end.
He was in the CAT scan room and they were trying to keep him stable enough to do a CAT scan. But he kept coding, to my knowledge. His heart just couldn't take it.
Everybody stand back. Connell Park Raceway is owned by the town of Woodstock, and races are organized by the local driving club. Racing was suspended for 7 weeks, pending a safety review, which the town will not release. The mayor said in a statement that safety enhancements were the result of reviews done independently by the Atlantic Province's Harness Racing Commission and Horse Racing New Brunswick. But the commission won't release the report. Neither it nor Horse Racing New Brunswick would answer CBC's questions. The town put up new fencing and signage. New signs are also up in Charlottetown and Truro, Nova Scotia. Meanwhile, people continue to lean on or over the fencing at tracks across Canada.
We will not be releasing.
Woodstock police have yet to tell the family what they concluded and whether they ruled out negligence.
Certainly not saying that that's the case here at all, because sometimes bad things do happen, terrible accidents do happen.
Fraser wants the safety report and the police and coroner's reports.
Honestly, in this case, justice is such a loose term.
Fraser believes her son's death was preventable and that safety standards need to change if harness racing is really a family-friendly event.
Coming up, in limbo, Dalhousie students say they're frustrated about the uncertainty of the semester.
Today is supposed to be the first day of classes at Dalhousie University, but nearly 1,000 members of the Dal Faculty Association have been locked out. I'm here with the president of the student union, Marin Mealy. So with many classes canceled, how are students doing today?
Yeah, I think students are feeling a number of ways. There's, of course, the excitement that lots of folks are feeling to be back on campus, but with that comes a lot of frustration. A lot of students are aware of the fact that today is supposed to be the first day of classes, and for most classes, they're starting now to pay tuition for classes that aren't actually happening. So there's a lot of frustration there. And then I think there's also some confusion, uncertainty. Students maybe have come here for the first time and now they're like, what am I supposed to do if there aren't classes on? How am I going to fill my time? So that's also one of the things we're seeing. And folks being unsure about how to plan things accordingly without their classes. Folks who have maybe held off on traveling here because of the lockout are wondering and trying to keep an eye out to see if they should come back or not come back, whatever that looks like.
Well, what kind of information are you getting from the administration and from the faculty? Are they keeping you abreast of what's been going on?
Yeah, the student union has been in regular contact with both the DFA and with the administration. And so myself and some of the other DSU executives meet very regularly with Dal Admin to talk specifically around academic concerns for students, but any student issues in general. And so I've been hearing from them very frequently. And then we've also been in constant communication with the DFA as well and talking to them. Talking about student concerns, yeah.
Well, what is the student union's position on this whole situation?
Yeah, I think what we're largely saying is that students need to be at the forefront of this. We are students that are not part of these labor negotiations are feeling the greatest impact, and we really want to see a hasty return to the negotiation table and to a deal. And that should be a deal that does the best for all of the Dal community, including students, including educators, and we want to see this resolved in a timely way. Like I said at the outset, students are paying tuition to be here, and students are not happy paying tuition for classes that aren't happening.
Well, if this does not resolve quickly, what could the term look like? Have you had any glance into what the future might be that way?
Yeah, we have been in conversation with the admin around this, and then there's also some information that they have up on their FAQ website that talks around this. There are some concerns that we have, like if we're in a situation where the reading week needs to be sacrificed. That's obviously a situation that is not ideal for students because the reading week exists as a result of student advocacy, largely around protections for mental health. We'd be concerned around mental health impacts if that doesn't go ahead. We're also concerned just about what tuition payments look like. If we have students paying tuition for large amounts of learning, that doesn't happen. I know that some folks are saying that the credits are still happening, so tuition makes sense, but our concern is that students are here for learning, not just to buy credits. And especially for people who are in programs where learning really is based upon, it's sequential. That's really important, that if you're in a nursing program, you can't just jump into your next nursing class without having done the learning from the class before. And so those are our concerns, is around learning, is around tuition, is around a reading break.
How are you able to advocate for students in the midst of this?
Yeah, there's already been lots that the student union has been doing. So we've been in those regular communications. We also passed a Senate motion at a special Senate meeting that the DSU called that offers protections for students who opt to honor picket lines and not attend classes. Students will not be able to get a fail or an incomplete on their record as a result of that, and that's because of the advocacy of the student union. And then we have also directly asked for in-person meetings with Kim Brooks. We haven't heard from those yet. And there's also ongoing conversations. We're currently planning things that will be more participatory for the student body and hopefully make the student perspective broadly heard.
Of course, orientation week is something students look forward to. How is that being impacted?
Yeah, our orientation weeks are mainly going on as they were planned to. And what we're saying is that it's really important that this happens, not because we're pretending that it's normal. Students know that this is not a normal year. This is not a normal situation. But students are still coming to campus. It's important that we get them connected to services, that we get them connected to friends and supports, and that we get people welcomed in a way that sets them up well for success for the year ahead, regardless of if that means classes soon or not. Obviously, we hope classes start soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Coming up, a U.S. judge rules President Donald Trump's deployment of the National Guard in L.A. was a violation of federal law.
And rescue operations are underway following a pair of deadly natural disasters in Afghanistan and Sudan. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump says he is expanding his federal law enforcement to more U.S. cities.
He has threatened to send the National Guard to Chicago and called the Midwest city a, quote, hellhole during an unrelated press conference today. The CBC's Lisa Shing has the details.
Well, thank you very much.
U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed he's sending federal law enforcement to Chicago, saying we're going in, though he did not give a timeline, though reports are saying it could be as early as this week. Trump pointing to what he said was a success in L.A. back in the spring when he sent about 4,000 National Guard troops to help law enforcement quell anti-ICE protests there. An action a federal judge just ruled was illegal in California. In Illinois, lawmakers are pushing back against this federalization. Governor J.B. Pritzker saying while he isn't against help from the feds, sending in troops is against the law and a temporary measure to deal with the crime issue.
Chicago does not want troops on our streets. I also have experience asking the president for assistance, just to have the rug pulled out from underneath me when execution meets reality. I refuse to play a reality game show with Donald Trump again.
Now, Donald Trump is using crime in Chicago as justification for doing this. It is something the city is grappling with. While stats show it is down overall, Labor Day weekend was a violent one.
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died.
Trump also pointed to what he said was a successful operation in D.C. when he federalized National Guard troops and brought others from states like Louisiana. However, D.C. is under federal control because it doesn't have a state government, so Trump has a little more leeway here in Washington. The situation is different in other states, with lawmakers in Illinois promising to fight this move. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Washington.
Afghanistan has been shaken by a strong aftershock. It hit close to the epicenter of Sunday night's deadly earthquake. The Taliban government says the number of dead has now topped 1,400, with more than 3,000 others injured. The CBC's Anna Cunningham reports.
The rescue efforts have continued throughout the day, attempts being made to try to reach the most remote villages in Kunar province in this part of eastern Afghanistan. Homes that were destroyed in Sunday's earthquake, visible, often built out of mud and stones, really not made to withstand such powerful shaking. And the second quake was also a shallow one, and it's likely to make those rescue attempts now more treacherous. It's not known how many people might still be trapped in the rubble of their homes. The Taliban are using military helicopters to transport the injured to hospital in the city of Jalalabad. The International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies now warning that the scale of need far exceeds current resources, with basics like food and clean drinking water needed. The Taliban government has appealed for international aid, but that is complicated. The US wants its biggest aid provider cut the majority of aid after US President Donald Trump took office in January. Prime Minister Mark Carney sharing this on social media, saying the aftermath of the earthquake in Afghanistan is horrific. Hundreds of lives lost, families displaced, and communities facing unimaginable hardship. As the Afghan people recover and rebuild, Canada stands ready to provide humanitarian support through our partners. And those words are key. Britain has said the same, as has the European Union, because Western nations are very aware that they do not want funds to reach Taliban hands. China and India have both offered their help. But this is now a real race against the clock to try to reach any survivors and the remaining injured. It's also a big challenge for the Taliban administration in one of the world's poorest countries that was already facing a severe economic crisis. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
A landslide in Sudan has destroyed an entire village, killing nearly everyone who lived there. The slide was triggered by weeks of torrential rain in the central Darfur region. Journalist Naba Mohideen has more from Sudan's capital.
An entire village was wiped out by the recent landslide in Jabal Marra. More than 1,000 people got killed in Tersin village. It was totally destructed by the landslide. Only one survivor was recorded, according to Sudanese People's Liberation Movement, Abdel Wahid Mohamed Noor leadership, and also the Sudanese government. This very painful incident took place on Sunday, but it was announced on Monday by SPLM Abdel Wahid Mohamed Noor wing. This landslide is a threat to wider population. Many villages around this area in Jabal Marra are under threat of such landslides. This area particularly is living in very poor infrastructure. It's also a very vulnerable to erosions and landslides because of heavy rains, torrential rains, and also the geological formation of area because it's formed out of volcanic rocks, and also the lack of dense vegetation is reducing soil cohesion and leads to more slides and leads to erosion in this area. Rescue efforts are still underway, but also there is some hopes that people can be evacuated from nearby villages because humanitarian activities are many there. Efforts are needed from international community and also from the Sudanese government, which is now battling with the rapid support forces. 6 out of 8 localities in Jabal Marra are under control of the RSF, and this area particularly is under control of SPLM. So urgent intervention by international community and by the Sudanese government and RSF is needed to help thousands of people who are in need and living very vulnerable situation amid a very dire humanitarian crisis in Jabal Marra and in Darfur region generally. Naba Mohideen for CBC News, Khartoum, Sudan.
A group of Chinese international students is accusing Immigration Canada of discrimination and lack of transparency over their study permit applications. The lawyer representing the graduate students has filed a case in federal court to force the agency to make a decision on the permits as fast as possible. The CBC's Thomas Dagla has the details.
At UBC and other campuses across Canada, there will be Chinese graduate students missing from class. Dozens enrolled in science, tech, and math programs like Yisin Chang, left waiting 16 months so far for a Canadian study permit that would typically take 4 weeks, according to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada.
The biggest loss for me is the 1 year time. Like, how much would you pay for like 1 year in your 20s? It's priceless.
This immigration lawyer in Toronto is representing 25 Chinese students with similar stories.
This is the student that has been waiting the longest.
He's filing a case in federal court demanding immigration officials explain the holdup.
The decision-making process was not transparent because the students was not told why an extensive security check was required in their specific circumstances.
In court documents, the lawyer blames an extensive security check done by Canada Border Services Agency and CSIS. All of it, he says, may be related to a case in 2023 when the federal court barred a Chinese student from a Canadian engineering program, ruling he could be pressured by Beijing into spying.
I think they're being treated discriminately here.
I guess I'm not really surprised.
This former CSIS director says it stands to reason the intelligence service is giving a closer look to would-be graduate students from China.
It does seek to use its Chinese who are working abroad or studying abroad to the advantage of China.
No matter their intentions, Li Zhang and others are left in limbo.
Canada closed the door to the China.
Canada's Immigration Department acknowledges some students are experiencing longer wait times for processing, but a spokesperson insists all applicants are subject to the same screening, no matter what country they're from. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
The National Food Regulator has found several cases this year of grocers mislabeling imported food as Canadian, but it hasn't issued any fines. And as Sophia Harris reports, that upsets shoppers who are trying to buy Canadian.
Brandon Nichols is committed to the Buy Canadian movement. So
So she wasn't happy when, at a Loblaw-owned store last month, she discovered this: asparagus displayed with a maple leaf, plus prepared in Canada and product of Canada declarations, but the tag said, produce of Peru, distributed by an American company.
The product of Canada label just seemed to be slapped arbitrarily, and it's misleading.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it has been flooded with similar complaints about country of origin claims, 160 since January. The food regulator has already identified 12 violations between February and May where grocers promoted imported food with Canadian branding. All but one of the cases involved national grocery chains. No fines were issued.
The CFIA needs to step up and start levying fines, putting some pressure so that there will be some changes at the grocery store.
Sheila Young agrees. She filed one of the CFIA complaints after discovering at this Sobeys owned store Sobeys brand avocado oil displayed with a maple leaf and a product of Canada declaration, even though the product is imported.
And that's maple washing. A fine's what needed to reinforce that they need to be accountable and responsible for their labeling.
Sobeys and Loblaw told CBC News they strive for accurate country of origin labeling, but that mistakes can happen when managing large inventories and frequently changing suppliers.
At a certain point, you say enough is enough.
This marketing professor says repeat offenders should face consequences.
If there aren't any fines despite repeated violations, it becomes that the regulations have no teeth.
The CFIA says in all of the cases, the grocer fixed the problem. However, there may be more problems to come. The CFIA is still sifting through its many complaints about country of origin claims for food. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
After almost a decade of paddling every summer, a family from Guelph, Ontario has achieved an ambitious goal.
Canoeing from their hometown all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. The CBC's Ash Tashetti has the story.
Okay, good to go.
Cute. In the Chute family, those who paddle together stay together. The family canoe team has just returned after the last part of their journey together through some of Canada's most beautiful waterways. Their goal was to ride the Speed River all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. After 9 summers of paddling, they're now back in Guelph, Ontario.
Being out on the water, it's magic.
He went on this journey with his entire family, his wife, brothers, sons, and many other loved ones. Together, they witnessed many beautiful sights and some scary moments, too.
We had these 2 ships passing us on our right. They produce a big wave, and so we were going up and over these wakes. We were way too close to the boats for comfort.
The once-in-a-lifetime family trip started on the Speed River in 2017. Each summer, they took on a new leg of the trip before ending up in a little village on the outskirts of Quebec this year, greeted at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean by another special family of beluga whales. They're home now, safe and on dry land.
To be together 24/7, doing something hard, doing something beautiful, something meaningful, all of us together was a tremendous privilege. We've done hard things and we've done beautiful things, and we're done.
All I kept thinking was, be safe, find belugas, come home happy.
Jeremy's 86-year-old mom couldn't come along, but she lived vicariously through the stories they brought back.
It is so heartwarming to think in this world of woe and horrible things happening, that there are these special moments that really capture your heart.
The Chute family will be back on the water soon. They're already thinking of their next big canoe adventure for next year. Ash Tashetti, CBC News, Guelph, Ontario.
Canada's main stock index finished higher today as gains in basic materials offset broader losses while U.S. markets fell. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to commercial break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, well, we've certainly seen lots of sun this summer for sure, but there was another spectacle last night to see.
Yes, a light show. Some folks got to see at least.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're in the right spot.
If you're in the right spot. And yeah, a few picks coming into the inbox from last night. Have a look at this. This is, of course, from Amher Shore, which is a beautiful spot. And the other pick I did see actually from Barry Burgess, I shared it on my socials, was from PEI. So it's definitely northern areas had the best view.
Sure.
That's great. Look at those colors.
Yeah, Diane Irwin with a fantastic shot. Beautiful colors. Thank you so much to Diane for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. Now, as we look at the outlook for tonight, another nice night with partly cloudy skies, that area of high pressure keeping us calm. Cool start to the day for tomorrow. And then again for Thursday, similar story, kind of some cooler overnight lows. And then the daytimes really warm up nicely with temperatures into the low, or I should say mid to even some high 20s out there. Low 20s along parts of the coast with those southerly winds. So we're looking and tracking for the wet weather, of course. So there's the low pressure system rolling into the Great Lakes region by Friday. Kind of a band of rain ahead of that, which will push into New Brunswick on Friday. But looks like for Nova Scotia, we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait until Sunday. Maybe a chance for showers for Friday night, isolated risk. Then for Saturday, looks kind of a little on the stubborn side with cloud cover. Showers on tap for Sunday. Too early to talk about amounts, but again, we'll hope for every last little drop. Some showers clearing away for Monday, and some fall-like weather settling in for next week. And skipped over Thursday, which is, of course, back to school. Everybody's so excited about that.
The kids were wondering.
Oh, they're so excited. Yeah. Some of them are.
Yeah, I'll bet. Okay, thanks so much for that, Ryan. Well, a real estate listing north of Toronto is turning heads, not just for the house, but for its unusual residents. This 2-bedroom bungalow is registered as a heritage home in Richmond Hill, Ontario. The listing describes the nearly $900,000 property as a great place for someone looking for a project.
But it is the dolls that social media users have noticed most. The photo tour of the home shows them positioned everywhere. They're seated in the living room, standing in the kitchen, they're on the beds and bathtub.
Creepy or charming. At least it's giving potential buyers plenty to play with. No word on whether the dolls come with the house. My doubt would be not.
Yeah. They'd be quiet tenants for sure, wouldn't they?
That's
yeah,
true.
for
We
sure.
hope so.
For sure.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.